Again, this is basic SharePoint, structured toward the OJD implementation. And my name is Sean Amsbury. I'm the main help desk guy for Oregon.gov. This course is going to cover how files are organized, kind of what is in SharePoint and how it's organized, how to create and update web pages. You have a couple of different templates that are very popular, and we'll focus on those. How to use images. That will include uploading images from your machine and then linking to them or using them on a page so that they show up on a page. And how to establish links to documents and how to upload those documents, and just kind of basics on developing a page in SharePoint or editing an existing page in SharePoint. That having been said, let's get into SharePoint. This is a basic SharePoint page. Now, in order to get to the authoring site, you will need to log in using your credentials. Most of you should probably already have those, or / and then probably having something to do with your email address name or something like that, and whatever password you were given. The URL you can see on the screen right now is authoring-cms-courts.oregon.gov.com, and then I'm going to assume most of you work in the OJD area, but after the / will come your primary work area. If you're a county, it'll be Wasco or Polk or Sherman or whatever your main area is going to be. No matter what area you're in, this is going to apply to you. We're going very basic here, and the principles involved in this session will be across the board, whether you're OJD top level or whether you're in a county. One of the things you'll notice that proves to you that you're in an authoring site is you have a ribbon at the top of your page. This is kind of the core of SharePoint functionality, is up here in the ribbon. The most used item in the ribbon is going to be your site actions. That's the beginning of everything that you're going to want to do in SharePoint. If you want to manipulate a page, you're going to start at site actions. If you want to look at a portion of your site, you'll start at site actions. If you have the permissions involved to manage your site, you're going to start at site actions. Let's start by looking at what SharePoint authoring actually is and what's behind it. We'll go to Site Actions, use the drop menu, and look at View All Site Content. That gets you behind the scenes or behind the site in SharePoint and shows you what's really here for you. You'll notice that towards the top of the page, we still have the ribbon, we have Site Actions, and we have a little icon for navigating up. That will allow you to go one level up in your site, or however deep you are, that many levels back up to home. Below that, we have quick links to different places in the site, different sub-sites, if you will. And then we have the core or the content of the site that you're actually in. And so all of these libraries, that's what they're called, all of these libraries have to do directly with the top-level OJD site. There are 3 libraries that you will primarily use. One is the Pages library. That's where every .aspx page should be. Theoretically, any file could be anywhere as long as it's called on correctly, it'll work. However, we have run into some issues with that where files of a type that are in the wrong place won't move to the right place. We have to go into 3rd and 4th level support in order to get a file to move, which is, it's a big hassle and it takes a long time just to move a single file. And for organization-wise, just for your own maintenance processes, they should be organized in a way that makes sense rather than being all hodgepodge in different places. And so pay attention to your county or your agency's policies on organizing your file types. So again, pages is going to be where all the SharePoint web pages are going to go. You can have a folder structure under that, which you'll see in a minute, but somewhere under that pages directory is where your ASPX pages are going to be. Another folder you'll be in a lot is docs. Anything that's a document that is not a .aspx page should be in there. PDFs, Word documents, Excel documents, what have you. I will expand a little bit in documents right now. One of the things that Microsoft recognizes as a problem is the 2007 and up Microsoft document types, the one that have an X on the end, .docx, .xlsx, etc., aren't directly compatible with SharePoint 2010. Now, Microsoft offers some workarounds that have worked for some people. If you go to the forums online, you'll see several different methods that people have used to make them work. However, everything Microsoft has offered us so far has not worked. And so your best bet is to save those files in an older format, the .xls format or .doc format, without the X on the end, and upload them that way. There are alternatives. If you absolutely have to have an Excel spreadsheet with all the fancy macros that are available in the newer file types, let your help desk know. They'll let us know there are alternatives, but only if there is a real, true business need for them. Most of the time, if you've got a spreadsheet up, you don't want people manipulating it. You want to display what you've got and leave it at that. So keep that in mind. As you upload documents, the Microsoft document types, make them the older doc types before uploading them. Everything should be fine. And then the third library you'll spend time in is the images library. And it is exactly what it sounds like it is. It's for pictures. I'll talk a little bit about pictures right now. Some contributors are responsible for uploading images to SharePoint for use on the web. Not all contributors will be. Those of you who are, please, please, please do not take your digital camera and plug it into your computer and drag the 8 or 12 megabyte picture from your camera you just bought that takes 14 and 18 megapixel pictures onto your desktop and tell SharePoint you want to upload it. It doesn't matter how small you drag that picture on your web page, it does not change the server footprint of the picture. What I mean by that is the memory that that picture takes up. If that picture is a 12 megabyte image and you have it shrunk down to a 1 inch by 1 inch size on your web page, that is a 1 inch by 1 inch waste of 12 megabytes. So be sure to make your pictures very web friendly so that your customers don't get frustrated with you. More and more, the Oregon.gov services are going to mobile customers. And a lot of those customers are on a pay per megabyte or pay per gigabyte basis. And if you take up a tremendous amount of their bandwidth with these huge images, they're not going to be happy and they're not going to come back and visit very often. So keep that in mind. Bring your pictures down as small as they can possibly be in memory footprint while still retaining the qualities of the image itself. Maintain the integrity, but bring it down to a web-friendly level.
This is Keith. If you don't have any software to be able to convert it, to be able to have It had a better resolution for the web. You could send that to the web team, and one of us could convert that picture for you.
They're not loaded up with the Microsoft Picture Manager or anything?
They may or may not.
Oh, okay. Okay, so there's a good resource for you. It's kind of funny. People will call the help desk and say, well, my picture's not loading, and I'll go to the page and sit there for 2 minutes, and the picture loads. And we've got a pretty fast pipe at work, so it's, we tell them, well, no, it's loading, it's just too big. So keep that in mind. Again, underneath any of these libraries, you can have a folder structure to organize however your agency, your county sees fit to organize. Their policies, of course, will trump what I tell you in this class. So if you have a web manager who wants things done a certain way, by all means, do that. Keep your paycheck coming in. So that's the libraries. There are some of these libraries that you can create yourself for whatever purposes. Let's say you have a site that it contains a lot of media. It contains a lot of video type things. Maybe it's flash media. Maybe it's .wmv for board meetings or what have you. You may want a media folder like is shown here in this site. You may want a videos folder. You may want to break it down more than that. You may want a flash folder. You may want a WMV folder. However you want to break things up and organize, by all means, go ahead and do. The way that you would add a new folder, a new library, excuse me, is in Site Actions. Like I said, everything starts at Site Actions. And you would use this Add a New Document Library button. Not all of you may have the ability to do that, but if you do and you have that responsibility, that's how you're going to find it.
We do have a question. What about uploading videos and recorded trainings like Articulate?
We actually have a problem right now that was posed to the help desk in using Articulate. What was it? Oh, Articulate wants an open directory browsing function. And in order to do that, we have to open up your library to anonymous access, which means any John Q. public on the face of the earth can browse to your library and get into it. Theoretically, they shouldn't be able to do anything with it, but they would be able to see and access all of the contents of that library. For some agencies, that's a problem. For some, it's not. The one that we were working with just recently decided to go a different route. They put it on a private agency server that they didn't have any sensitive information on, and went that route for it. As far as my experience goes, Captivate produced Flash seems to work very well. Also, any of the other regular video formats can work. If you've got a large video, okay, and I don't know what your OJD policy is. If you've got a large video, talk to your web team. There's your policy. Because SharePoint is not really optimized for delivering large videos, and so there are some other solutions that work well to let your web customers have an enjoyable experience and not be bottlenecked by SharePoint's features. So that's on libraries. That's pretty much, in a nutshell, your libraries. You're going to be dealing with pages, images, and documents for the most part, or docs, excuse me.
Yeah.
So don't use documents folder, use docs. Next thing we have in SharePoint is lists. Now, if you need something changed that is controlled by a list, for nearly all of OJD, you're going to want to talk to your web team. Yeah, and that would be navigation items. That would be the fixed items that are on your pages that you can't figure out how to edit them, they're probably controlled by a list. And you're going to want to talk to your web team about it because they have a very specific method of navigation through your page that was painstakingly arrived at, and they don't want it to be changed and leave some things out on an island that can't be reached. So talk to your web team if you need your navigation changed. And that's primarily what your link lists are for. So even if you can see the lists, you have permissions to see the list there, talk to your web team before or in order to change anything having to do with that, because that will change everything in the site. And sites and workspaces. These are sub-sites to the main site that you're working in. Right now we are in the OJD site, and all of these sites are sub-sites or one level down from OJD. And the advantage to having sites is, or sub-sites is, that your sub-site can have an entirely independent navigation structure from the parent site. It can also inherit the navigation structure, but there is that choice to be able to change things there. Also, it can have entirely independent workflow and approval requirements. So your web team, again, is the ones who are probably going to determine if a new site is needed or if something needs to be changed about a site. Talk to your web team. Okay, now we're going to go into the Pages directory, and we're going to take a look at a page. As you noticed, I went down into the Pages directory, into the Pages library, excuse me, and let me put a bottle or put a quarter every time I call it a directory now. And under that directory, it was created a training library, and went into that because that's where my test page is. And to open this page for editing, all I'm going to do is click on the name of the page. We are looking at the authoring version of a SharePoint page. You can see it just looks like a regular course page, but we have the ribbon. This is back where we were a little bit ago. So in order to edit this page, there's a couple of different ways to do it. I can go to Site Actions and edit the page here with this button. Or I can use the little Edit Page icon here. Or I can go to the Page ribbon, and click Edit Page here. That will open up the editing mode of this page. When you're in editing mode, you'll start to see outlines of the regions of the page. This happens to be a OJ, I believe it's the standard single column page, and there's chuckles about my test entries here. Anybody who's familiar with Douglas Adams, hats off to him. And so there's several different entry fields here that you can use. The page alert that sits at the top of the page over the title. If there's nothing in that alert, it'll be a single white line that you will not notice. The article title you can see a little bit ago is just the title of the page. It's going to be in a little bit bolder text than the content of the page. And your content is where you're going to be doing most of your editing. It's down here in the article content area. Web pages, these are just like any other. You're going to have text. You can have images. You can have tables. SharePoint offers web parts. Now, I don't know what your internal policies might be about using web parts for anything. Are they free to insert web parts and be creative and all that kind of stuff?
Content pieces are okay. We have the link list web part.
Okay.
try and play with SharePoint, adding fun little web parts. So there's what happened, but
Right, okay. It's kind of what we tell. We have certain ones on the Oregon.gov side that they'll work. And if you want to play beyond that, hey, good luck. But,
call us when you break it.
yeah. So there you go. Kind of the same thing. There are a couple of web parts that are working. The issue there is it's not really broken. There was a lot of customization that had to go into SharePoint to accept our content from the old content management system of TeamSite and Site Publisher. And so broadening SharePoint to the point that it would accept all of the different kinds of contents and all of the different kinds of formattings and all that were present really put us into kind of a box to say, well, here's what's going to work and here's what's not going to work. And so as time goes on and SharePoint's power is realized through redesigns, we will see less and less limitation and more real power. For now, as Kelly said, there's a couple of web parts that'll work. You can insert them. We'll go over that in a minute, briefly. And there's some that, hey, if you got an idea, try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So to add anything or subtract anything from your content area, you're going to use a combination of cursor placement and any of the tools up here on the ribbon. Again, any of the tools that give you a response. Some of them could not be integrated into what was in the old content management system, so they are unresponsive if they're unresponsive. And the rest of the ribbon tools are responsive. You're probably running into that kind of a limitation as opposed to something being broken. As simple as typing in words and phrases will add to your page, and delete key will remove your stuff. It'll work that way with anything. Keep in mind, before we get too far into this, that this ribbon up here, this set of tools, this is not a word processor. Don't expect it to act like one. It is an HTML processor. If you can do it in simple HTML, then fine, it's probably in the ribbon somewhere. If HTML will not handle it, you cannot do it on a web page unless you insert an image of it. Okay? So being somewhat familiar with HTML is helpful to understand the limitations. If you're not familiar with HTML, try to find it on the ribbon. If it's not there, don't worry about it. Can't happen on a web page anyway. So I've entered some text, just some regular Ipsum lorem down here. Let's talk about a very common procedure of adding a link to some existing text. Okay, this is a link that I have already added. This goes to a fax page in the site. If I wanted to create a link, I would highlight the text that I want to use as a link, and I'm going to go to my Insert tab. I'm going to use the Insert Link button, and I have two choices. I can go from SharePoint, which means that you're going to link to a page or document within the site collection, which means inside of your county or agency, or from an address, which means anything outside of your site collection or county or agency. If you're going to have a link to another state's judicial department, that would be from an address. If you're going to link to, say you work at Polk County and that's a site collection you're in, and you want to link to a really, really cool resource that Wasco County has out there, you're going to go from address because it's not within your site collection. So SharePoint is limited to the stuff that's headed under your site collection. The OJD in the URL tells you what site collection you're under. And so if your page that you want is under there, you can go from SharePoint. If it's not under that, if you're going from SharePoint, you can browse So when are y'all coming off dial-up? And you will use the Explorer type view here to browse to whatever it is that you want to link to. So let's just kind of play that we're going to browse and link to a document. Say we wanted to link to this existing case 4. That is actually an image, but that's all right. So we just click on the item that we want to link to and make sure that it's represented down here in the location bar. And we click OK. Okay. If you get stuck there, you can go ahead and browse to that, whatever page it is, and link to it through the link to an address, which I'm told seems to work better. And right. Linking to an address will require the fully qualified URL. That means start with HTTP and go until the .com or .org or whatever it is that you're linking to. And clicking OK results in a link that will go to the site that you link to. The way you can manipulate your link a little bit is by putting your cursor into it. And you notice when you put your cursor in the link, you have all of a sudden this link tools portion of the ribbon that comes up. And if you click on the format button, you are presented with some manipulation that you can perform on your link. It shows you what your URL is, but when you type a description in, I can say to Google, and that now becomes a tooltip for the link that'll pop up, which is kind of nice. It's also helpful for screen readers. We do want to keep in mind that we want to be ADA compliant. Along those lines, opening in a new tab generally is discouraged for ADA compliance. Display an icon, that is if you're linking to a file, it'll try to give you a file type icon next to the link. And of course you can remove the link here in the same ribbon. If you've already got an existing link and you don't want it anymore, you can remove it that way. And keeping the text there. Linking to an image. This image already is a link. This image is not. If I want to make that image a link, I'll activate the image, go insert, link, and let's go from an address. And what I'm going to do is leave the text blank. And now, lo and behold, my image is a link. Again, I can go like this, give it a tooltip, and the image is now a link. The key there is keeping the text portion of your entry field blank. So otherwise, if you put text in there, the text will take the place of your image, and your image will be lost. Let's move along. I'm speeding up a little bit. We're running into having only a little bit of time left here that we're scheduled for. If I want to insert an image to a page, same thing. We go to the Insert tab, and I'm going to say Insert a Picture. You can do that from your computer, from a web address, which I advise against unless you own the server. If you own the server the picture is on, go ahead. If you don't, you're probably breaking some kind of copyright, and it's bad form because whoever does own the picture can change it at any time and either, in the least case, give you a broken image, or in the worst case, put something rather embarrassing out that you don't want on your website. So avoid that unless you own the server that the image is on. And, of course, from SharePoint, having already uploaded the image, that's what you're going to use most of the time. You'll manipulate your image, upload it, and link to an image that way. So you would go to your images folder, and click on an image, make sure it's represented correctly here in your location line, click OK, and the image will appear on your page. And in the interest of time, I will do that. That's the method I use for both of these. Tables, same thing. This is actually a table. You can tell that because the table tools has come up. If you want to insert a table, same thing, insert table. Like most other Microsoft products, you get to tell it how big of a table you want, and you can always manipulate that later in your table tools. One tip that I give people all the time is as soon as you put a table in, you see it's activated here in the Table Tools ribbon, show your grid lines. That way you can navigate through your table cells and know exactly what you're putting where. Layout is all about, like I said, you manipulate it here. You're going to insert rows, cells, columns, what have you. You can delete the same here. You can force your table to be certain widths and heights. That can run you into problems with all kinds of white space if you do that. So if you run into a table that's giving you a lot of white space headaches, check out your table width and table height and see if it's forcing it to a 2,000 pixel tall table or something like that. Design will allow you apply a style to your table. Well, this will automatically color or stylize your table in some way. When you're done, you'll want to save. You have a choice of either save and close or save and keep editing. You'll save and close. And you'll want to check in your page. Check in allows you to create a backup point. Your check-in will create either a major version or a minor version depending upon if you publish your changes. If you publish your changes, it's a major version. That'll be a 1.0, 2.0. If you don't publish your check-in, it will be a minor version, which would be a 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. The 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, those versions are not published. They have never been on the web live. And once you're checked in, you can go to the Publish ribbon, and depending upon the workflows and approval requirements of your county or agency, you click Publish, and your page starts into that workflow, whether it is to be approved by other people or whether it is to go straight live. You don't have workflows? Okay, so when you click Publish, it'll go live. Okay, I'm going to stop talking for a minute. Any questions out there so far?
Hi, this is Sandy in Salem. I do have one question. In the library, some of our folders have a lot of documents. Is there any way to jump to them faster other than the little arrows at the bottom that jumps you like 30 documents?
Every heading at the top of your library is a filterable heading. And so I guess my answer is yes and no. You can filter for alphabetical order. You can filter for documents that you own. You can filter for documents that are checked out to you only, recently updated, those kinds of things. But as far as, once you have things filtered out, I don't believe there's an individual search that you can pinpoint one document. The short, good answer is no. The more expanded answer is if you really want to, ask your web team for help.
Yeah, because it's the family law forms, and there's a ton of them out there, so maybe I'll talk to Keith and Kelly about that.
Yeah, there sure are. I've been through that folder.
Don converted us percent team set. He knows those very
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So sorry that's not a better answer, but your web team will be able to help you with your specific needs.
Okay.
For uploading anything, I'll use documents as docs as an example. You'll upload documents of any various kinds and types, and you'll upload images. It's the same process. In order to add a document or image to a library, the easiest way to do it is scroll to the bottom of your view and click Add Document. That's going to give you an Explorer view of your machine that you can browse through using the Browse key. This is an Explorer view of my machine, and I can open and browse through anything I want to browse through to upload a document. Now this is your live site, so I'm not going to mess it up with my fictitious documents and that. And I would simply have the title shown here in the file name and open the document. And that will upload it to the site. Once it's uploaded, you will want to get these other things. Upload multiple files. If your computer holds its mouth just right and crosses its toes, you might be able to upload multiple files. It is a very specific set of circumstances that allows that. It's nothing that we have control over, and it's nothing that is broken or unbroken about your experience. Even Microsoft admits that it's very, very touch and go when it comes to uploading multiple files. Okay, and then once you have your file here, you can go to the folder you want your file to be in, and don't worry about this. This allows you to choose a folder, but you can confuse yourself using that. So go to the folder you want your file to be in and upload it to that folder rather than trying to mess around with this. And then once you're ready, you click OK, and your file will be uploaded. It will have a little green tag that says New. And are you guys set up so that anything that's uploaded is live, or do they have to publish that? Okay, so just the act of uploading it. It will be checked out to you when you upload it. You'll have to check it in, and then it will be available to link to online.
Okay. Is it the same? So when you, what if you're replacing a document? So it's named exactly the same. You upload it to the folder where it's housed in SharePoint. Do you have to publish or release that page?
If the item is replacing a page that is published,
it's just a document.
A document that is published, I believe my experience has been that you do not have to republish it. Yeah.
Okay.
And make sure that you've got this checked. That's why I came back here. Overwrite existing files. Okay. If you are replacing a document with a new version, make sure that's checked, and that way SharePoint will it won't balk at having the same name. And it'll just replace what you've got with what you're offering.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay, so that's pretty much SharePoint in a nutshell as far as the very basics of it, how to get around and how to edit things. Any more questions that anybody has, I'd be happy to field for you. Okay. If we run into needs of deeper, further training or anything, let us know. Let us know what the subject matter ought to be, and we will do our darndest to build something that will meet your needs. Thank you, everybody, for your time. I appreciate it. Keep in mind that if you have problems, questions, things that you really, really want to be able to do but aren't sure how, make sure and contact your web team first. If they need to escalate it, they will contact the Oregon.gov help desk, and they have your contact information. So that's the order of operations for you. I appreciate your time. I hope you got a little something out of it. Thank you very much.